So the first question, innovative clients, the Einsteins, as you term them, are arguably harder to come by than those willing to live in a remote provincial town and serve the community. A Nobel Prize winner, for example, may not need immigration advice as they may be invited to live all over the place anyway. So how would you suggest attracting these people?
Oh, I always tell them three things. And if you can, again, I'm giving this advice for free, just take it and use it in your practice. So first, I assess their interest, because they have to tell you why Canada. Not you tell them why Canada first, but ask them why Canada, what attracted you to Canada. So listen to that first, because people have to tell you. Sometimes they have family, sometimes they have friends, sometimes they like political stability here. Yes, that's true, despite some certain imbeciles coming to power at a certain time. We have very stable political system, and economic system is not influenced by those mostly, but still compared to other countries, we're way better. So why Canada? Basically to identify their interest. Second, what do you have to suggest? And we have self-employed, for example, and I have hockey players who will do way better than the US, but they understand that it's slightly different luck on that, not on their hands, and they're okay, they like it better in Canada. Yes, they understand the salary may be less, but that's what they do. Same goes with movie directors, and we have quite significant segment of clients on self-employed stage. Well, that's part of it. So second, like I said, personal interest first Canada, second, what they have to offer, and then compare how much money they're willing to spend in terms of real investment. Like, can they even afford something? Because even Nobel laureates, how much money they have. And if you see how much money they have, and if you overlay one approach to on another and another, those three usually give me good sense of how to offer the program. And I always tell people, well, don't judge by Mr. X, because Mr. X is obviously different. And Nobel laureates, yes, but I would never suggest this to go to Nobel laureates, because, for example, self-employed program is way better, maybe and cheaper and less intrusive, and maybe just, by itself is better. So don't be fixated on startup as it's panacea to anything. Like I said, even PNP is maybe for somebody who is certainly grounded to this and know the business and understand that they have to spend, but that's what they like. Don't destroy their dream because it's hard, because they will come back to you and say, no, I was dreaming about that, but you convinced me to go here and see what I got. You destroy my dream. So don't do that. Always tell people what they're capable of and give them an option to select. But I never actually, well, sometimes people ask me silly question like, tell me, Alex, why should I immigrate to Canada? I say, well, I don't know. If you don't know, I don't know. So yeah, but disclosure in full. Well, probably if I can say that, the only thing that comes into my mind right now, pay attention to what people say. Pay attention to what people say, because if people say something and you miss it, it's your fault. Sorry for that.
Okay, so the next question is, what level of language proficiency do people need for a startup visa?
CLB5. It's the second from the bottom for those who don't know. I call it, remember what I said at the beginning, I call it show up test. Any reasonable person with more or less fair English, even on domestic level, can pass CLB5. Not rare occasion when people said, no, Alex, there is no way I can pass CLB5. No, I try. No, you didn't try because you never passed the test. Try and pass. People go pass and they actually get CLB5. It's second from the bottom. So CLB5.
Can an entrepreneurial team immigrate to Canada together through the startup visa program?
Yeah. No, say again, the question was what?
Sorry, did you want me to repeat it?
Yeah, please, because I didn't hear the question. It was a statement. Yeah.
Can an entrepreneurial team immigrate to Canada together through the SUV?
Of course, that's the definition of SUV in Canadian interpretation of it. All other countries accept individuals. In Canada, we actually designed this program from the beginning to make it attractive for teams. And it's not rare. Actually, it's a regular occasion when we have projects when we see teams of friends or co-partners or co-founders or co-owners of know-how immigrating together, and they actually support each other. And I see, well, maybe I'm jumping into my business shoes sometimes or wearing that hat, but I can identify who is playing which role easily by talking to them, who is a manager, who is designer, who is CFO, and who has training in certain field, but they mostly complement each other. And that's exactly, it's not the question, it's a statement. Entrepreneurial, it's designed for entrepreneurial teams to immigrate together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the applications, why are not all of the applicants essential persons in this
They
program?
can. They can. People ask me all the time. I don't know why this notion exists on internet. Like, no, not everyone can be essential person. Everybody can. I have teams when everyone is essential. They just have to know each other and trust each other enough to designate each other as essential, because that's on them. And my job as a counsel just to go and say, oh, dear client, do you understand the meaning of essential? Do you understand the burden that you carry? Because if your application is refused, the whole team goes down. Same goes for all 5. But there is no, the only limitation regarding essential, at least one person has to be essential. All of them, by all means, go ahead.
Okay. Why is there a different minimum investment from a venture capital fund and an angel investor group?
Practical. My understanding practical. When government described the program, you have to understand. Whoever asking the question, you have to understand the inside work of investment, private investment, and venture capital regulated by security commissions. They have higher compliance cost. They have more responsibility, more liability. So if they involve, well, it's like, if I'm involved in certain type of investment, and those people who are familiar with investment, they totally understand. Some funds not even accepting anybody without entry funds like 25,000 or 100,000. And Warren Buffett will not accept you if you, I don't know, the last number I heard, like 150,000 for one share or whatever. So many funds actually not even accepting you as an investor if you have not enough capital or net worth. Definition of that is known to people who inside the industry. Well, sure, I totally understand. If you don't have experience like mine, it's hard for you to explain, but that's why I advise people, always co-counsel, or don't hesitate. You know what happened to people who chew more than, bite more than they can chew. They stuck, right, and die sometimes. So no, that's why the only it's all insider approximation of ability of investors. Why 200? Why 75? Bit me. I don't know. It's just probably a fictitious number. They just said, why not 50? Probably too low. Why not 100? Probably too high. Honestly, I asked government about 2 things: how they identify 275 from day one, and how identify the essential person nomination, why others non-essential, if all of them essential. I never got definite answer, unfortunately, but we have to live with what we have.
Okay. So
Yeah.
are there any restrictions on work permits while waiting for PR, for example, employer specific, anything like that?
Oh yeah, good question. Actually, yes. And that's, I don't know, the question is originated probably from the perspective of people who not really flexible with their financials to survive and want to work somewhere while they're taking care of business. It's a no-no for Canadian immigration, because obviously this is employer specific work permit, and it's name of your business is on it. You can only technically work in that business, maintaining that business, helping that business to grow, and you cannot work anywhere else. That's illegal, and that's where people getting confused sometimes. But your spouse, if you apply properly, if you apply proper service, if you counseling, then your spouse can apply for open work permit, And if it happened to be the man and free and capable of doing that, well, let the man work 5 jobs and be free. But open work permit allows people to do that without limitation. But your permit is tied until you reach PR. And after PR, people say, will I have a right? That goes to basic knowledge of Canadian permanent residency status. You have all rights as Canadians do, and you can work, not work, retire, study, live anywhere in the country.
Okay. What are the requirements for the business under the SUV program?
Flexible, like I explained extensively on the qualifying business page. People can go back and read and apply that knowledge, practical steps to each business. The requirements are active and operational. That's pretty much the requirement. It must be incorporated, must be located in Canada. The intention must be to make profit, and it's active and operational. So those are requirements, but it's different from case to case, of course, because it's one thing like we have IT business and people sit at home and write codes and participate, and one person is promoted, another person taking care of financials. So those things exist. Some business is more practical. Some people require and go with agreements right away or with memorandum of understanding, but it's not like there is a list of government prescribed checklist points that people say, okay, check, check, check. No, there is none. It's all case, but that's why peer review exists, because if people in the government, in the ERCC confused about the business activity, then they will ask specialists in the field to provide peer review.
What is the minimum personal investment that people need in order to apply through the SUV?
Again, depends on your situation, because sometimes people say, well, first of all, remember about settlement funds. I don't want to go back in slides because people went through this. People can go through slides when they have, I believe you distributed copy to people. So yeah, we're talking about situation when each case is assessed personally. So, and you have to know how much it costs to operate certain business, how much is going to cost to develop the application, let's say mobile application. People say, yeah, my investor will invest 80,000. It's not enough to create full size, full scale, in-depth, fully operational mobile app. Well, let's see where we can get the rest. Oh, you can contribute. Good. Oh, you can have outside investors. Great. We just have to feed the requirements, other requirements, like ownership. How much interest you hold, and what's your share of equity you control, because that's a requirement. So you can't just attract investors and finance everything and have, let's say, diluted shares and then go with nowhere with nothing. And that's impossible, because you will break the fundamental approach. So it's all individual. People try to approach it with cookie cutter kind of mentality. It's hard, but I totally understand among certain cultures and ethnically, anthropologically, because I'm quite interested in people from that way and how societies and cultures operate. So yeah, in certain societies, give me the number, give me the number. Well, if you have enough experience, you can probably approximate the number, and you have to be honest, that number can vary, but when you sign an agreement, I'm talking to investors always in most demanding terms. If you sign the collaboration agreement, if you work on this project and you promise people that you will maintain this budget or whatever requirements are, then you better stick to it, because I am proponent of handshake agreement, the gentleman rule. I mean, if you promise somebody to maintain the situation and build it, whatever, no matter what, just set right expectations. Because people say sometimes, oh, they promised me that we will build the business and it's going to cost me like $20,000. $20,000 for what? You have legal fees probably close to that, maybe less, maybe more, who knows, depends on the lawyer or situation. because I have lawyers who charge 50 and I have lawyers who charge 10. But it's different. Like I see people all over the spectrum. But it depends. But just apply reasonable expectation, because if somebody promises you, it's like, you know, it's unreasonable to expect Lamborghini to cost $10,000, and you're naive if you approach the dealer and he said, yeah, it will be Lamborghini. Well, maybe from junkyard, not movable, and maybe all crashed, but yeah, okay. But see, you have to apply common sense. That's my answer to, I mean, in short, of course, within parameters of this webinar.
Great. So I think that's about it for today. I think that's all the questions.
Oh,
and
we handled 3 hours, and I think it was quite entertaining. I hope. I hope people enjoy it, because the last thing I want to be boring.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. It's been a topic that I don't know very much about, and hopefully other people have learned as I have today. So thanks very much, Alex. And we hope that we will see everyone else, all the audience members, again soon, maybe even in person by the end of this year. That would be nice.
Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? So Alex, thank you too. And may I say to the people who are on here that if they have any further questions, they can send it either to me or to you. Is that okay?
Oh,
Alex?
sorry. Yeah, Peggy, absolutely.
If there are any further questions,
yes. By all means. And
.com, and I will forward them to you, or they could. I think your information must be there.
I didn't publish my information not to promote, because I'm very shy in that regard, and I follow your guidelines. But you have my website right on this page, immigrate.com, and obviously people can count on proper in-depth consultation. If they want to order, it's right there. Business consultation is about startup. But for members of your audience today, what I can promise, I will answer 1 or 2 specific questions without going into much details, because don't forget, we charge for consultation because we carry liability for everything we say. So if you expect like complicated answer to complicated situation, don't expect me to answer for free and just go and let you die. Of course, that's a complicated question. We have to apply analysis, due diligence and background review, and then we apply our knowledge and experience to a certain situation. But if answer is like one of those people asked, but let's say needs to ask or forgot to ask today, similar to what Rhonda pronounced and give us, yeah, by all means, it's okay to have follow up and drop me a line and maybe apply through the form on website. Yes, absolutely.
Peggy at imseminars.com. Anybody has any questions that I would forward to Alex. Thank you, Alex.